Hey guys, Mr. Johnson here. We're going to talk today about Math 2, Week 5 already, Day 2. So we're talking about how to find the combinations that we've talked about. So we're talking about permutations where the order really matters because we're giving out awards or something like that. So it matters who's first versus who's third. And now we're talking about combination where it doesn't matter. I'm just selecting people to come help me. Doesn't matter who I choose first, who I choose third, they're still going to help me the same amount. So let's say I have 10 students and I want to choose 5 to go help me do something. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how I would set this up, and we're going to get it through that, and at the end I'll go through and recap everything so you guys can figure out a way to set everything up. So the first thing I always notice is we have two numbers here, a 10 and a 5. They're not always going to be 10 and 5, they're going to be different, but one's always going to be larger than the other unless they're the same number. What we're going to do is we're going to choose that smaller number. That smaller number is how many places there are available. And what I always like to do is create these little underlines, or you can create boxes for the multiplication like we did in permutations. I highly recommend doing this so that we don't lose count of how many we have. So if there's the smaller numbers of 5, that means we need 5 of these places. So I have 2, 3, 4, 5 places. Now, the next thing that's important, I'm going to turn this a little bit so you guys can see as I go. We're going to do that same thing for our second step. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the exact same number for my second step here. Now, what we're going to do for step 1, we've created boxes, as many boxes as there are, my smaller number. For step 1, in my first box, I'm going to take that larger number and put that 10 there. Because if I walk into the room and there's 10 students, for my first choice, there's 10 different people I can choose from. And then I'm just going to count down through all these boxes. So I have a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Because when I walked in, there were 10 people I could choose from. I choose one, now there's only 9. I choose another, now there's only 8, 7, 6. And if we multiply that all out, we are going to get 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 is 30,240. Now, that means there's 30,240 permutations that we can choose. I'll adjust this again here. Permutations is where the order matters. So if I'm choosing 5 people, let's say I choose Billy, Tommy, Georgia, Alexander, and Michaela. That's 5 different ones I can go through there. But that's only one group. This is also counting if we take those same 5 and change the order that I picked them in. So this isn't unique groups, this is unique ways to pick the groups. So we need to take a way to figure out, okay, we don't really care how many different ways we can get one group. We want that one group to just count as one. So what we need to figure out is how many different ways we can do each of those groups. So on our second line here, what we're going to do is we're going to take that smaller number, put that 5, and we're just going to count it down to 1. This should always start at the small number and end at 1. If not, we have some mistake in our spacing. So this one goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that should come out as 5 times 4 is 20, times 3 is 60, times 2 is 120, times 1 is 120. So what that's telling me is, for those 5 people I chose earlier, there's 120 different ways I can count them. Now, I don't want all 120 of those, I only need one of them. And that works for every unique group. So what we're going to do, that means that there's 120 times too many counted in here. So we're going to take step 1, which was 30,240, and divide it by 120. And when we do that, it's going to take away all but that one unique group for each one that we need. So 30,240 divided by 120 is 252. And that is going to be our answer. So that's how many unique groups I can actually choose, where it doesn't matter if I choose one first or fifth, it's just the special groups that there are. So, to recap through how we go about this, we're going to look for what two numbers we have. We take the smaller number, and for both 1 and 2, we're going to create that many slots here. Then, after we've created all those places to put the numbers, for number 1, we're going to take our bigger number, put it in the first one, and then count down for the rest. And we have that filled in, and then we're going to multiply, and you guys can do that multiplication. If you absolutely need to, you can grab a calculator. That's fine. And get that number right there. For step 2, you're going to take that smaller number, put it in that first box, and count down. And you should end up at 1. Use a calculator or do math on your hand, or handwritten math, to get that number. And then for step 3, we're going to take the whatever we found in step 1 and divide it by whatever we found in step 2. We can use a calculator for that and get however many proper combinations there are. So one more last quick time through it. Create spaces, however many spaces there are for your small number. For step 1, we put the big number count down. Step 2, we put the little number count down, do our division, and we get our answer. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I will be glad to help you. And have a nice day.